Ever get that feeling where you learn a new word and suddenly it's like everywhere?
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's like your brain decides that this word is important and now it's highlighting it for you.
It's so weird.
That's
Yeah.
the power of your brain's filter, or, well, more specifically, the reticular activating system, the RAS.
The RAS, yeah.
It's not magic. It's actually a pretty neat bit of neuroscience.
Yeah.
And the even cooler part is you can learn to control it, to focus on the positive and train your brain for optimism.
That's a great way to put it. It's like the RAS is this super attentive bouncer at the club of your mind.
Right.
It decides what information gets past the velvet rope and into your conscious awareness.
Right.
And it does this based on what you tell it is important.
So if I'm obsessing over finding the perfect pair of vintage cowboy boots, my RAS will suddenly make me notice every pair of cowboy boots in every shop window, online ad, and even on random people walking down the street.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just about cowboy boots or random words.
Right.
The RAS plays a huge role in shaping our overall outlook on life. It's like wearing a pair of tinted glasses. If your RAS is tuned to negativity, it will constantly point out problems, dangers, and things to worry about.
Yeah.
But if it's tuned to positivity, it will highlight opportunities, solutions, and reasons to feel good.
So it's not just about what's actually happening around us, but also how our brain chooses to filter and interpret that information.
Precisely. Two people can experience the exact same event, but their RAS can make them perceive it in completely different ways.
Oh, wow.
One person might focus on the stressful aspects, while the other might see it as a challenge to overcome.
So how do we start training our RAS to be more optimistic?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it?
Is it just a matter of thinking positive thoughts?
Positive thinking definitely helps,
Okay.
but it's only part of the equation. We need to retrain our RAS to prioritize positive information.
Right.
And there are a few really cool techniques that can help us do that.
Okay.
One of my favorites is the looking for hearts exercise.
I've heard of that one. It sounds almost too simple to be effective.
It is simple, but that's the beauty of it.
Okay.
All you do is make a conscious effort to notice naturally occurring heart shapes throughout your day.
Like a heart-shaped cloud.
Exactly. A cloud, a leaf, a pattern on the sidewalk. You'd be surprised how many hearts are hiding in plain sight once you start looking for them.
So how does simply looking for hearts help rewire our brains for optimism?
It all comes down to neuroplasticity. The brain's incredible ability to change and adapt based on our experiences.
Oh, wow.
By actively seeking out hearts, you're essentially telling your RAS, hey, this is important to me, show me more of this.
Oh, I see.
And as your RAS starts picking up on more and more hearts, it strengthens those neural pathways, making it easier to spot the positive in other areas of your life as well.
It's like giving your RAS a new set of instructions, a new filter to see the world through.
Exactly. And here's the really cool part. As your RAS becomes more adept at finding hearts, you'll start noticing other positive things too. A friendly smile, a beautiful sunset, a random act of kindness.
Oh, nice.
It's like you've opened up this whole new channel of positive perception.
So it's not just about finding hearts. It's about training your brain to look for the good in everything.
That's the key. You're essentially rewiring your brain to focus on the bright side, which in turn can lead to more positive emotions, increased resilience, and a greater sense of overall well-being.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this works. But what about those pesky negative thoughts that just seem to pop up out of nowhere?
Yeah, those are the worst.
You know, those what-if scenarios that can send us spiraling into anxiety and doubt?
That's where thought substitution comes in. It's a technique where you consciously replace negative thoughts with more positive or realistic ones. It's not about denying reality or pretending that problems don't exist.
Right.
It's about reframing your perspective and choosing to focus on solutions rather than dwelling on the negative.
So instead of thinking, what if I mess up this presentation, I could try thinking, what if I knock this presentation out of the park and impress everyone?
Exactly. And here's why that simple shift is so powerful.
Okay.
Every time you have a thought, your brain releases chemicals that create a corresponding feeling in your body.
Oh, wow.
Negative thoughts trigger stress hormones, while positive thoughts trigger feel-good hormones like dopamine and serotonin. So by choosing to think more positive thoughts, you're literally changing your brain chemistry and creating a more positive emotional state.
That makes a lot of sense. But isn't that just positive thinking?
Well, yeah, kind of.
How does thought substitution actually reprogram our RAS?
It's a bit more nuanced than just positive thinking. It's about actively challenging negative thoughts and consciously choosing to focus on something more empowering.
Okay.
And here's where it connects back to the RAS.
Yeah.
When you consistently replace negative thoughts with positive ones, you're essentially feeding your RAS a new diet of information. You're telling it, hey, I'm not interested in focusing on those negative things anymore. I want to see the good, the possible, the solutions.
Oh, right.
And as your RAS gets used to this new way of thinking, it starts to prioritize positive information, making you more likely to notice opportunities, feel more optimistic, and take action that aligns with your goals.
So it's like we're retraining our inner critic to be more of a supportive coach.
Exactly.
Instead of constantly pointing out our flaws and what could go wrong, it starts highlighting our strengths and the possibilities that lie ahead.
Exactly. It's about shifting from a mindset of fear and scarcity to a mindset of growth and abundance. And the more we practice thought substitution, the more natural this positive outlook becomes.
This is all starting to make a lot of sense, but it also sounds like a lot of work.
It does require effort and consistency, especially at first. But the good news is, our brains are incredibly adaptable. The more we practice these techniques, the easier it becomes to maintain a more positive and optimistic outlook. It's like building any new habit. It takes time and dedication, but the rewards are well worth the effort.
So we've talked about retraining our RAS through exercises like looking for hearts and thought substitution.
Right.
But are there other things we can do to cultivate a more positive mindset?
Absolutely. One of the most important things is to pay attention to our mental diet.
Our mental diet.
Yeah. Just like we nourish our bodies with healthy foods, we need to nourish our minds with positive and uplifting information.
So that means being mindful of the news we consume, the social media we engage with, and even the conversations we have.
Precisely. It's about creating a mental environment that supports our well-being. We wouldn't eat junk food all day and expect to feel amazing.
Right.
The same goes for our minds. It's about being conscious of what we're feeding our minds. Think of it like this. Imagine you walk into a room filled with people.
Oh.
Some are laughing and telling jokes.
Right.
Some are sharing inspiring stories and others are complaining and gossiping.
Yeah.
Which group are you drawn to? Whose energy do you want to absorb?
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
I definitely gravitate towards the positive and uplifting group. Their energy would be contagious.
Exactly. And it's the same with the information we consume. We have a choice in what we allow into our mental space.
Right.
We can choose to focus on the news stories that highlight solutions and progress, or we can get bogged down in the negativity and fear-mongering that's often prevalent in the media.
So it's about being selective with our news consumption and seeking out sources that provide a more balanced and hopeful perspective.
Exactly. It's not about ignoring the problems in the world. It's about recognizing that there's always more than one side to every story.
Yeah.
And often there are incredible people and organizations working tirelessly behind the scenes to make things better. Those stories deserve our attention too.
And what about social media? It can be such a mixed bag of inspiration and negativity.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
How do we navigate that landscape in a way that supports our mental well-being?
Social media can be a powerful tool for connection and learning, but it can also be a breeding ground for comparison, self-doubt, and negativity.
Right.
The key is to be mindful of how it makes you feel.
Okay.
If you find yourself constantly scrolling through feeds that leave you feeling drained or inadequate, it might be time to hit the unfollow button or take a break altogether.
It's like decluttering our physical space.
Exactly.
We get rid of the things that no longer serve us to create a more peaceful and inviting environment. We can do the same with our digital space.
Absolutely. Curate your social media feeds to reflect the kind of energy you want to invite into your life. Follow accounts that inspire you, make you laugh, teach you something new, or simply bring a smile to your face.
And it's not just about what we consume passively. It's also about the conversations we actively participate in.
You're absolutely right. We have a choice in every conversation. We can choose to engage in gossip and negativity, or we can steer the conversation towards topics that are more uplifting, meaningful, and solution-oriented.
So instead of complaining about the traffic or the weather, we could talk about something we're grateful for, a project we're excited about, or a way we can help someone in need.
Exactly. And by consciously shifting the focus of our conversations, we not only create a more positive atmosphere for ourselves, but also for those around us.
Oh, that's nice.
It's like planting seeds of optimism that can ripple outwards and have a positive impact on our communities.
This is all starting to feel very empowering. It's like we're not just victims of our circumstances or our thoughts. We actually have a lot more control than we realize.
That's the beauty of understanding how our minds work. We have the power to choose our thoughts, our focus, and our actions. And by making conscious choices that align with our values and goals, we can create a life that is more fulfilling, joyful, and meaningful.
So retraining our RAS is just one piece of the puzzle. It's about cultivating a whole new way of being in the world.
Exactly. It's about embracing a growth mindset, practicing gratitude, taking action towards our dreams, and surrounding ourselves with positive influences. It's a journey, not a destination.
But it's a journey that sounds incredibly worthwhile. Speaking of journeys, I'm curious about the role of action in all of this.
Yeah.
We've talked about the power of thought, but what about actually doing things? Does taking action play a role in training our brains for optimism?
It absolutely does. In fact, action is one of the most powerful ways to reinforce a positive mindset. When we take action towards our goals, no matter how small those steps may seem, we send a powerful message to our brains that we're capable, worthy, and deserving of success.
So it's not just about thinking positive thoughts, it's about putting those thoughts into action.
Exactly. Every time we step outside our comfort zone and do something that scares us a little, we build confidence, resilience, and a belief in our own abilities.
So if I'm feeling stuck in a rut and struggling to stay optimistic, taking even a small action step towards something I care about can help shift my perspective.
Absolutely. It could be as simple as signing up for that online course you've been thinking about, reaching out to someone you admire for advice, or simply taking a walk in nature to clear your head and gain some fresh perspective. The key is to take that first step and keep moving forward.
So it's a cycle, really. Positive thoughts inspire action, and action fuels confidence and optimism.
Precisely. And as we continue to take action, even in the face of setbacks and challenges, we strengthen those neural pathways associated with resilience, perseverance, and a belief in our ability to overcome obstacles.
It's like we're building up our mental muscles, training ourselves to bounce back from adversity and see challenges as opportunities for growth.
That's a great way to put it. It's about developing a mindset that embraces challenges as a natural part of life, rather than seeing them as roadblocks or reasons to give up.
This has been incredibly insightful. I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together. Retraining our RAS, practicing thought substitution, curating our mental diet, and taking consistent action. It's a holistic approach to cultivating a more optimistic and empowering outlook on life.
It is, and the best part is, it's a skill that can be learned and developed over time. The more we practice these techniques, the more natural they become, and the more we reap the benefits of a more optimistic and resilient mindset.
So it's like we're not just stuck with the brain we were born with. We can actually rewire our brains for happiness and success.
That's exactly right. We have the power to choose how we want to experience the world. And by understanding how our minds work, we can make choices that lead to greater well-being, fulfillment, and joy.
And wouldn't it be amazing if we could all tap into that power and create a world that's a little bit brighter, a little bit kinder, and a lot more hopeful?
I can't think of a better goal to strive for.
It feels like we've uncovered a treasure map to a more optimistic life.
Yeah.
And it all starts with understanding that powerful filter in our brains, the RAS.
It's amazing how this one system influences so much of what we experience.
Right.
And the good news is we're not stuck with the settings it came with. We can actually reprogram it to work for us, not against us.
So instead of letting our RAS automatically tune into negativity and fear, we can consciously choose to focus on the good, the possible, and the solutions.
Exactly. It's like switching from a radio station that's constantly playing doom and gloom news to one that's filled with uplifting music and inspiring stories.
Okay.
It's the same world out there, but we're choosing to tune into a different frequency.
And the more we practice tuning into that positive frequency through exercises like looking for hearts, thought substitution, and curating our mental diet, the easier it becomes to maintain that optimistic outlook.
It's like building a mental muscle.
Yeah.
The more we use it, the stronger it gets.
Right.
And the stronger it gets, the easier it is to bounce back from setbacks, overcome challenges, and see the world through a lens of possibility.
This has been an incredible journey. We've gone from understanding the science of the RAS to exploring practical techniques for retraining our brains for optimism.
Yeah, it's been great.
And it all boils down to this empowering realization we have a choice.
We always have a choice.
Right.
We can choose to let our circumstances dictate our thoughts and feelings, or we can choose to take control of our minds and create a more positive and fulfilling reality.
So if you're ready to embark on this journey of transformation, to unlock your inner optimist, and to start seeing the world through a brighter lens, Remember these key takeaways.
First, understand the power of your RAS. This incredible filter in your brain is constantly shaping your perception of the world.
Right.
Become aware of its influence and start making conscious choices about what you allow it to focus on.
Second, practice thought substitution.
Yes.
Challenge those negative thoughts that creep in and replace them with more positive and empowering ones. It's not about denying reality. It's about choosing to focus on solutions and possibilities.
Third, curate your mental diet. Be mindful of the information you consume, the social media you engage with, and the conversations you participate in. Surround yourself with positive influences that uplift and inspire you.
And finally, take action. Nothing reinforces a positive mindset like taking steps towards your goals, no matter how small they may seem.
Right.
Every action you take is a vote for the person you want to become.
And remember, this is a journey, not a destination. There will be days when the negative thoughts creep back in, when you feel discouraged or overwhelmed.
Well, no, for sure.
That's okay. It's part of being human.
Yeah.
The key is to not let those moments derail you. Acknowledge them, learn from them, and then gently guide yourself back to a more positive and empowering perspective.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the power of optimism, we invite you to start paying attention to your thoughts, your focus, and your actions.
Yeah.
What small steps can you take today to start retraining your brain for a more positive and fulfilling life?
What new perspectives can you embrace? What opportunities can you seize? The possibilities are truly limitless when you choose to make your mind work for you.
And if you're ready to explore more fascinating topics that help you understand yourself and the world around you, make sure you subscribe to The Deep Dive.